Right, welcome to Fish Fab. This episode we'll be welding some holes up. There and in there. Right, on this episode we've got some welding up to do. I'm a little bit in front of where you are. So I've already started to strip all the sealant and all the sealer off the bottom of this car. It's nearly complete, but what I have done, unfortunately, the car's in pretty good shape. There are some bits that need a little bit of rust treatment, but under this wheel arch we have found a few holes. They now need repairing. So basically that's the job of today. We're going to try and weld all these holes up and make them all solid and strong. I'm going to do what I can filming wise. It's going to be a bit of a struggle. It's quite a small space for me to get my head in. To try and film it as well, it's going to be difficult, but we're going to do what we can. So this episode will be pretty much just me repairing the bits of corrosion that are in this wheel arch. And then the next episode should be all to do with how we're cleaning the floor and everything and ready for the Raptor. So that's pretty much the next episode. But this one is purely... let's try and get these holes welded up and the process of how I'm doing that. So let's start cutting some holes. Right, as always with these projects, you can see I've started to cut the hole off to try to cut the hole out to get to good metal. You can see this is all nice solid metal. It's a little bit pitted down here, but it's really good. The problem is now I've found is this bit of sill at the bottom. I don't know if you can see this on the camera very well. Can you see how it moves very easily? That's because it's that pitted through here. You can see daylight through it here. I know there's a big hole there, you can see daylight through the hole, but then we've got some other little pinholes there, and I'm just thinking it's not worth me going this far without repairing it properly. So I've had a little bit of a think, and I think now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut this end of this sill off and make a new end of the sill. So I'm basically going to cut it off about here and cut the last 2 inches or the last inch off the sill, make a repair panel, and that should also then help me get into inside to repair the inside bit. I get the impression that I might be doing this on the other side. Now I've looked at this side and see how it's delaminated this inner skin. When I've looked back at the other side, I've seen it's done almost the same thing. So it looks like what I do this side I'll be doing the other side. So next job, I'm going to take a few measurements and then I'm going to clean it all up, make sure it is good metal, and if it is I will then cut the back off and we'll make a new end of the sill once we've made a new inner bit. So a little bit more to cut out. Right, I don't know if you can see on the camera, but there is a faint wear line there. That is where the end of the rubber is on the skirt. So this is what's hidden. So considering I was going to Raptor probably up to this point here, I was hoping that all my repairs are going to be below that. Obviously we found a little bit more damage than I first anticipated. So now that I've decided to cut the end of the sill off, we're going to have to try not to encroach onto here. I don't want the heat to melt all this paint away. Now, some of it will be hidden because there is actually a little piece that goes in here, a little bit of trim. So between that and the rubber of the sill, there's a very small gap in there. But if I can try and keep the heat down, I want to be able to weld across here, clean it up, and not have any distortion go any further. If I want to creep a little bit higher, I can. But hopefully the cut's going to go underneath this bend line because this is where the strength is in the panel. So I'm hoping to come a little bit lower. It seems to be the rust is all below that point. So at the minute I am looking to come across somewhere like this. And then with the amount of rust that's at the bottom, I'm probably going to be able to come this side of the hole somewhere like that. So I'm going to then make a whole new end section of the sill. But what I can do is, while this is out the way, repair all the inside bit that's completely rotten, repair all that, and then put the new sill on the end. So that should stop us having any problems in the future. I've had to do this because I just feel that it's going to be half a job if I don't do it. So this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to try and cut it as neatly as possible. So I have got it as a bit of a template, but it's fairly corroded and fairly thin anyway. So I think I'm going to make a new piece to replace the sill first. So this is the template, the bit I've cut off. Just got a bit of material. This is a little bit thicker than original, but that will help a bit out when we start to weld it. I'm going to make it longer than we need because it's easier to manufacture, and then obviously we can cut it down to suit when we've got it all made up. So I'm just going to roughly lay this out on here, and then you'll see how we start to form the flange, and we'll make it look a bit more like the Subaru Brett. And remember to just keep checking it with the template. There's no point keep going back and going, oh, it's too big now. So very simply, we just made that bottom fold. Right, now all you can see is I've found a bit of bar there that fits the same profile in there. So all I did was put this on a bit of plate you want to bend, a bit of angle, get it where you want it, hit it, and then obviously that forms the same radius on there. As you can see, very quickly you get something that's almost identical. Found a bit of aluminium, it has got a bit of cut out, but it'll be fine. So that's the same sort of profile. So because this is reasonably thin, Alright, so with a bit of beating and a bit of cleaning up, you can see that is the repair panel, that is the original, and they fit pretty good. So the rest of the shaping and that we'll do when we get it in the car. Obviously it's oversized, so we'll trim it down. Obviously when you cut this out, you've got the thickness of the blade, so you have to make these bigger anyway. So I find it's easier just to make them a bit bigger straight away, trim it down until you get it where you want to be, make sure you're happy with it, and then tack it in. Right, I'm going to try and show you. It's a bit difficult to see, but the next bit of work that I've got to repair, just about see it. Can you see these holes? Apparently this is quite a common part for it to go. So this is the rear driver's side suspension turret area. And this area here, from what I understand, on nearly all the Subarus are renowned for rusting. I'm struggling to get you to see that, but it's all rusty in there. So what I'm probably going to do is I'll put the GoPro in here and get a bit of a better shot of that. But the really important thing is before we cut that out, we want to make sure we know where it's going to be cutting through in here. So if you can see here, this is where we're cutting, the other side of this, which means we're incredibly close to this. And I just wanted to check no cables in the way, and I also wanted to check there's no cables going over the inner arch. I've had it before where they lay the cables in that channel, so if you cut them, you cut straight through your wiring loom. It makes a lot of work you don't want. Also, just a quick note while you're in here, strip everything down, look if there's any holes. I've had a look and I know that hole there goes to where I want to be. So if I am a bit worried, there's a lot of smoke and I can't see, I know that I can put the air line straight down there and get a quick idea if I'm actually on fire or it's just some of the sealant melting off. That's always worth. That's definitely worth keeping nearby. I've got one out here, or in here I should say, and then I've got another one on the floor down there. So I've got 2 fire extinguishers near me, because it's much easier to clean the foam off your car than it is to try and put a burnt down wreck back together. So always safety. Right, I'm going to try and cut that piece out, and I'll probably end up showing you with the other camera. well, thank God that's done. That was a really difficult job. That was very hard work. I had to, that weld up there all overhead, so it means that every time you MIG or you grind, everything's all falling down, you're burning all your neck, and it's been a horrible job. I really haven't enjoyed this job at all. The end result is near enough where I want it. I mean, considering this panel repair is never ever going to see the light of day ever again. So yeah, but I'm chuffed with it. I haven't just slammed the panel in, and you know, I've tried to make it look as original as possible. So it should look alright. Once it's got a coat of Raptor on it and everything, it should look as it should. But yeah, thank God, that's been a real hard day. So I can understand why this sort of damage, or sorry, this sort of rust has actually scrapped cars before. A lot of people that I've looked on forums and that say that they've had a complete quarter took off, repaired the panel inside, usually by completely putting a whole new inner arch in it, and then they've put the whole quarter back on and paint it, and that it's a colossal job. I think the panels are Subaru only, and I think they're like £300-400 for the inner arch, £300 or £400 for the outer quarter. Well, if you're doing that on both sides, and we're lucky with this one, we're doing it on one side, that's a lot of money plus labour of them doing it and painting the car. You could very quickly get to what probably some of the older ones are worth. So this is the way we've done it, because it's hopefully the best of both worlds. So anyway, so hopefully there's enough information in that video so you can follow along how I've done it. I've tried my best. They are some, I'm not going to explain it for you there, so are some superb YouTube channels that you can watch. Personally, I watch Trev's blog. I really enjoy that. I think he's a really talented man, and also I like how he comes across. It's really good, keeps you interested. So if you are interested, go and watch them. But generally, hopefully, it's kind of give you an idea. So, right, brilliant. I hope you enjoyed that one, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.